This is your Bomb Wednesday service. As always, I am your senior pastor, Naima Cochrane. And as always, with me is the director of HEP's ministry, Mr. Carron J. Phillips. Carron, what are you drinking on this evening?
I'm bringing cocktails back.
You bring cocktails back. Did they
Because I'm
leave?
getting the stimmy. We getting the stimmy. We are getting the stimmy.
Shout out to our Dem majority Senate, who's had the majority for 2 weeks as of tomorrow. I just want to point that out. It's been less than 2 full weeks. Who today voted, because the Republicans were dragging their ass, to move the stimulus package ahead as a budget reconciliation, which basically means that instead of passing it as a bill, they pass it as a budget measure, which means that they can do a simple majority and move around the Republicans. They gave them until today. They said y'all got until this week to get with us or get run over. We gonna go ahead and do it. And Mitch McConnell's ass is already talking about partisanship and whining and the exact opposite of everything he said before.
We don't want to hit. We don't want to hear that shit no more.
We're not trying to hear that. So there are still some steps to go through. They have to now write the budget. They have to write the budget regulations and the, what do they call them? They call them the reconciliation conditions or directions. The newly appointed chair of the Senate Budget Committee is Bernie Sanders. His team is responsible for pushing that on through, and then it goes to the floor. But because it is not a bill or it is anti-filibuster, and only 20 hours of debate instead of 50 hours of debate, which is the usual Senate limit. So it's happening. There's just a couple more steps to go through the process. And I need y'all.
Give me my money.
We gonna start doing civics segments or some shit on here. I don't know. We'll figure that out. If you notice, Carter and I both have on. It's the first day. It's the second day of Black History Month. Third day by the time y'all hear this. Carter and I both have on renditions celebrating the greatest R&B group ever in the history of the world. Hailing.
Are we putting them first?
I'm putting them first for me. There are arguably better for Naima in the Naima universe. New Edition is the greatest R&B. Not just in terms of artistry, culturally, in terms of like what they gave us, you know, the group spinoffs. Like there is no other group that has had as many successful breakout acts.
I'm not mad. My top 3 goes Jackson 5, New Edition, Jodeci. That's my 3.
Okay.
That's my 3. So if you have any at 1, who's your 2 and 3?
It depends. If you don't
say Jodeci, I'm hanging up the phone.
Do you know how many R&B groups there have been, man?
This will be a 1-person show if Jodeci is one of the 2 groups you named after New Edition.
I gotta put the Isley Brothers in there somewhere.
Okay, that's fine.
It's only fair. Like they were recording. I'm gonna say Jodeci for the sake of the show.
Thank you.
On today, if y'all tweet me tomorrow and ask me, my answer may be slightly different. Okay. That's one thing with me. There are groups that I will always love, but you asked me I'm terrible with ranking because how I feel about where something goes, it really varies from day to day. It varies from day to day, and depending on mood. My glasses have a reflection in them. I know I look sleepy, y'all. Actually, my lighting's a little janky, but whatever. But what was I gonna say? Okay, so first things first, a little bit of
wait, I do like that Isley pick though, because we don't to sidebar for 7 seconds.
To give the Isley Sisters flowers, let's do that.
The Isley Brothers enough of their flowers, because I saw someone on Twitter once say there should be a verse between the Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I was like, the elements will get snapped like Thanos. You don't want it with the Isley.
Listen,
nobody.
Y'all really have to understand.
Group in music history, am I right?
They're the what? Longest running?
Aren't they like the most sampled group in music history?
I don't know if they're the most sampled. Cool is somewhere between them and Kool and the Gang. I gotta check on that. But they're one of the longest running, if not the longest running group in music history, because they started in the 50s and 60s. Like the original Twist and Shout was the Isley Brothers. You know, and they did a Motown, like they were a Motown group at one point. They've been on everybody's label, and they transitioned from like that early kind of doo-wop to that early rock and roll to that Motown sound to, you know, a classic soul and that 70s Quiet Storm, funk and
To a
soul.
whole run working with an artist we can't name anymore, but
Right,
we
going like
so.
it evolving all the way into the 2000s. Like the fact that they were still recording in the arts is like and like on mainstream, getting mainstream love. If Ron hadn't gone to jail,
Yes,
leaving room for Uncle Charlie to come
slide in,
which was much deserved as well. Uncle Charlie deserved that look. Like Ron had been out here for a minute, like with his cane and his Mr. Big and pimp slapping people. Charlie deserved that look, but
Ron also slid up on old girl from JS. Remember, had him
and married
sexy
her
thing on his and married her, and then
had twins.
Mind you, this is only a couple years after
he
the Float
divorced
On remix.
Angela Wimbush.
When Angela Wimbush was in the video.
Who was his wife?
I know.
Who was writing a lot of their material even after they got divorced. It's a damn shame how he did Angela, but it actually probably worked to her benefit because she was free and clear of the tax bullshit. I know she was probably like, what you intended for harm, God used for good. Anyway, but also Ernie Isley is one of the most underappreciated is one of the most underappreciated axemen in music history. Like Voyage to Atlantis, Summer Breeze.
Come on now.
It's Your Thing. I mean, Ernie just be woof.
Here's the thing I appreciate most about the Isley Brothers.
Right.
There isn't a group or an artist on earth, maybe outside of Prince, that has an age group that big to where their penny droppers work for everybody.
Okay, valid.
Anywhere from like 19 to 69, you could drop an Isley Brothers and you'd be like, yeah, it's that time. Like, girl, you know what's up.
This is true. I'll give them that.
That's a hard thing to do.
The thing I love about the Isley Brothers is that them niggas used to put hands and blades on people. And like really
in blouses.
And blouses. They were about that. Like there is a picture of the Isley Brothers circling around of them. Whereas niggas in the 70s they have on very tight, clothes, some midriff showing in some places. Yeah. And somebody had posted at one point trying to act like, they were not representing correctly, kind of also what you gonna do. And we was like, oh, that one got 2 pistols in his waistband. This one got a knife in his boot. Like, please understand they would have fucked you up had you stepped to them on that day. There is a record. They were notorious. You were not stepping to an Isley. You're not just gonna step to an Isley brother. And
it's
I appreciate their gangster.
It's like Andre 3000 said about Hammer. It was like, who gonna run up on Hammer? Run up on Hammer and see what happens.
See what happens. See what happens.
Who gonna run up on the man that was untouchable in Oakland and signed with Death Row and nobody bothered him?
Like, people love to pay attention to where people are from in some cases, but not others. So like just Hammer being from the Bay, like, was enough. The Isleys are from Cincinnati. Like,
yeah,
you not
they
just they get down. They get down.
In certain cities in the Black Midwest where you just like, oh, you from there? Okay. All right. Yep.
That's all you need to tell me.
Yep.
I'm good. Right. I'm good. A little bit of housekeeping before we get too much deeper into anything. Just of course a reminder that in addition to our show, there is a variety of programming for your viewing. I hope you are viewing. If you are listening, you should know that you should be on YouTube, on the Count the Danes YouTube page, viewing this right now. Pleasure. Everything from, 3 millennial ladies, Black women giving their opinion on Crazy Sexy Cool to a bunch of Black folks just doing open air forum on Black Opinions Matters. Me and Carron doing whatever the hell we do over here in Spirit and in Truth.
We let the spirit
talking
move.
Shit.
We let the spirit move.
We go. Listen, we go where spirit tells us to go. Always they service. Wise and Nando being woke over on Woke Bros, or Trayvon impressing us with his multitude of A-list guests in sports and entertainment on Growing Up the Same. We got something for y'all.
Who is Trey's booking agent?
Like, no, for real. Trey's moves are so crazy that I'd be like, I mean, even his personal booking agent, like Trey does a lot that we like.
Trey must have Jamel Hill's booking agent because they be getting guests, and I'd be like, how you do that?
And apparently don't even tell their producer who the guest star. Just be like, this will just be there. Like,
it hit different when you have these people's number in your phone. You be like, wait, hold on, who'd you call? Wait, I need to text you about something. Right. I don't understand.
It's crazy. So no, Growing Up the Same is an excellent concept, excellent, really impressive show. At some point, Carron and I will start actually booking people to come on the show, but it ain't gonna be who Trey has.
I mean, we was, and then
you gotta call people and follow up, and remember, we'll get there.
If we had a lot of good guests, we was trying to get early in the
we
latter
part
of the
whole conversation. Like, what about
clearance.
this one? What about that? What about let's reach out to this one? Yeah.
People had to get clearance from their bosses and their networks, and it was just like, we just need you to get on Skype at this time. You can't do this, never mind.
It's okay.
So we missed out on a lot.
I know we have a few things we need to get into, but I wanted to first ask you, as we're going into Black History Month, I was celebrating on Twitter the other day the fact that Black laughter is radical, and it is part of our ancestry. But I wanted to ask you, Carron, what kind of black laugher are you? Because there's styles.
Oh, I am at the top of the nigga board.
What is the hoot and holler? Which one is it?
I will hit you. I will take off running. I will hug you. I will cry. Right. Like people, you know how people overuse the crying emoji laughter? No, I really be crying laughing.
Right.
No, like, listen, if some shit is funny, I'm out of here. I'm running down the hallway.
I'm a fan of falling out of the furniture, and or leaving the room, running out of the room, or sometimes I just walk slowly out of the room because that means it's even more funny. If I don't run out of the room and I actually just got to stroll out of the room, that means it's even more funny.
You know what the best is? I saw this tweet. Somebody said this is a love language, and I was like, it is. Two people on the couch.
Just hitting each other boxing.
and making no noise, no noise, just doing this. That is a love. If I could do that with the woman, we watch them and we just doing this. I'm gonna buy you something. I'm gonna buy you something.
Yeah, other thing is I'm good for the start with like something really loud and then go into a silent laugh and then go into a cry or lay on the floor or whatever. But what I love about us is even if the laugh itself is not loud, like we're gonna flail and flop and move around and throw our heads back and bang on something. And like you mentioned, like if you next to us and something's funny, you like either put your defense up or just get ready to get hit because we're gonna hit you. And the funnier it is, the harder we gotta hit you. And if we're laughing, we gotta keep hitting you while we're laughing because we somehow feel like hitting you is gonna help us get our breath back while we're laughing.
You know, the first time I realized this was a thing, I'll never forget where I was. The opening night in Saginaw in high school, Kings of Comedy came out. The entire theater I was in was like nothing but 11th and 12th graders. And I saw people fall out their seats and crawl up and down the aisles. I saw people run around the theater.
It's kind of like catching the Holy Ghost, honestly.
I've seen people run up to the screen and slap it. Like it was one of the. It was that laughing, and I remember also that year, the year after, Freddie versus Jason came out, and half the theater was for Freddie, and half the theater was for Jason. You would have thought you was at a high school rivalry basketball game. Like people were taking sides. It was like one of the best movie going experience. It's like Freddie versus Jason, Kings of Comedy, Black Panther early screening 2 weeks early in Atlantic Station. Right. Like the best 3 movie going experiences of my life.
Your Kings of Comedy experience sounds like sounds similar to my house party experience. But yeah, I can see that in Kings of Comedy. Like That's why some movies you got to go to the black movie theater, because you have to have that. You have to have that, you know, around you. You have to have that immersive experience. But yeah, the way.
And you know what the funny thing was? The thing about King of Comedy was, because people forget this. Remember when a movie came out, it took a year and a half for it to come on VHS to buy it?
Maybe. I don't know if I remember that. But you've said it before.
But it took a minute before it came out for you to buy it. It wasn't like now, it's like 6 weeks later, you could get it online or whatever. Back then, I remember after we all went to see it, we had to wait like almost a year to buy it, to watch it again, because we missed half the jokes.
Because everybody was so loud.
Because the theater was so loud, like we missed half the jokes. And so watching the second time, it was even funnier because I was like, yo, I didn't hear half of it.
Well, that's the other thing with us. Sometimes we laughing at, like, it starts out that we're laughing at the joke, but then it evolves to us laughing at ourselves, laughing at the joke. And that's the part that actually usually pushes you to the tears and the crying and all. And Carron, you know my friend group, we good for being laid out. We could be in a restaurant. We're going to be laid out in that restaurant. Yeah. We do not contain laughter. Like, we don't. We've been asked to leave Nobu. It's we're funny as fuck. I love it. Hanging all over each other.
Yeah, because I y'all did that yearly Christmas dinner. Y'all did a virtual one this year, and I was like, I'm sure there's some restaurant manager that's happy about this.
No, we have started doing private rooms in order to prevent issues.
Yeah, that's good. Well, then you know what? Praise God.
We've done.
I have an idea
for the last several years. We've done private rooms, so because that's how we get them. Because you're right, we are loud and boisterous, and we want to control the music and all that. You
gonna get on a couch? Mm-hmm. I know you.
We're gonna stand on something. It's gonna happen. And there's a lot of yelling and hooping and hollering. So the categories that we isolated yesterday, there was the hit somebody laugh, the run out the room laugh, the fall out the furniture or fall on the floor laugh, the cackle, and then these aren't really types of laughter. I think they're just laughter like accessories or like laughter, what do you call it? Like the things that you get on your car. Features. They're laughter features. The clap and the stomp. There's the laugh with no sound, which actually is the best laughter because you just literally cannot breathe. And there's the there is the literal like howl or yell laugh, you know, where it starts like a whoop type. When somebody says stop all that hooting and hollering, that laugh. And there is also, somebody brought up, and this is a very distinctive category, you are one of only a couple of Black people in a space, or you or your friend notice something happen and you connect together and then start laughing. There's that too, which is like a laugh, which is like a look and a knowing look and a pause and then a bust out laughing. So
the telekinetic. Yes.
But Black, I love us. I really do love us. And I realize that every time I really start thinking about us and our usness, I'd be like, I understand why folks hate us. I get it. I actually kind of get it. I might hate us too if I wasn't us. I'm just saying.
Look, man, we don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. And
I used to do this quite often with like one of my old bosses. We sit on this editorial board as the only like 2 Black people ever in all these meetings. It would just always be some bullshit, and we would just give looks and just bust out laughing. And everybody be like, no one said anything. Like, what's so funny? And people ask at the meeting, be like, never, like,
we can't even explain it.
Like, you want to get it? Like,
it's not even something we can explain. So shout out to Black people, Black History Month. Also, right as we were about to go into Black History Month, we lost like one of our greatest living pieces of Black history. I just want to acknowledge Mother Cicely Tyson's transition. Literally 2 days after her memoir came out. And I was like, that is somebody who was like, okay, I've completed my work. Let me get my stuff together. I'm gonna holler at y'all on the other plane. And I said on Twitter that like, we've had so much tragic death over the past several years that we've almost forgotten that we can celebrate just like a good old, she got called the glory death, because 96 years old, you cannot be sad at somebody dying.
John Chaney too.
Oh yeah.
Because that was what, a day, a couple hours
Yep.
before. I don't know, it's all run together now, but
Yeah, you can't
we've been through so much. No, not them. To now, it was time. Yeah, it was time.
And like with John Lewis, if John Lewis hadn't died when he died, I think I would have been more celebratory about his transition too. But it just felt like it
was boom, boom, boom.
And it also felt like somebody who had been holding up a dam for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like we lost a sense, like lost the protection. But 96, like, you have to celebrate. And she was lucid and present all the way up, like doing her book tour right before she died.
I just watched her the Cherish the Day series on OWN like last year. And she was like almost the lead character. Exactly.
Or even like you think about her turning. Well, you don't watch How to Get Away with Murder, but still working.
Yes,
okay.
Every episode. Didn't miss
so every, you know,
Annalise Mama,
still working, still like
and killed that old man that touched on her when she was a girl. Remember she talked about the fire?
So did. She took care of that and didn't say nothing about it. Kept moving. Would come up at award, would come, to almost every award show. I've been really fortunate to be in a room like within like I can throw my napkin in and hit her distance more a few times, and always with a fresh wig and a fresh look on. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Because there will never be another Cicely Tyson, and there is sadness in losing those people who've seen so much, but there's also like we have to celebrate what they gave us.
We don't talk about her and the Miles Davis thing enough.
You know why? I think because until recently she didn't really talk about it anymore. But and because their relationship was he was awful to her. He was really terrible to her. So I think
I had to feel that was one of them. He was
really terrible to her. And Miles went through so many women, right? Cicely is one of the relationships that now on the other side of it, people talk about the least with him. But she apparently I have to read the book. I have to find time to read the book. She has said to this day like that was still like the love of her life, and she never remarried. And I don't think I knew of Cicely being attached to anybody else after Miles publicly. I'm sure she had some, some shit popping.
Oh, listen. Yeah, she's probably doing like I said I did before this call started.
Possibly, very possibly.
Moving in silence in broad daylight. Hiding in broad daylight.
Might have been. But yeah, Cicely told Gail she still loved Miles, and my friend Bobbi Smith.
Everybody tells Gail. Huh? Everybody tells Gail.
Well, also my friend Bobbi Smith interviewed her on last Monday, for her show Better Relations, and Bobbi said she wasn't going to bring up Miles out of respect, and it would kind of be like on a lesser like public level, it'd be like bringing up Ike to Tina, right?
But they kind of joined.
Yeah, but
just not the movie.
I know.
Like,
I get what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that's how tumultuous and allegedly how abusive their relationship was. And because Miles was, heavy in his addiction, and Cicely was trying to pull him out of it. And there used to be stories where Miles would call people, like Miles would call his biography and be like, "Yo, you gotta come get me out of this house and take me to get a fucking, steak or some shit," because she was also trying to have him go vegetarian and all this other stuff. But she was trying to keep him clean, and he found that immensely boring and annoying. But anyway, Bev said she wasn't going to bring Miles up out of respect, and Cicely brought it up on her own. So I'm going to definitely read her memoir. I gotta find time. I have so many books to read. So I took January kind of like as my warm-up month for the year. So my year is basically just starting right now. But I failed myself.
So January is like
January was homeroom. I was listening to the announcements. I was writing notes. I was talking about what was on TV last night. I was fixing my hair. January was homo. So my year is just starting right now, but I failed myself because.
Welcome to 2021. So much happened already.
It's like
it's
like a gap month. You know how people take a gap year in between like school and college? January is like a gap month.
Let me tell you how the Phillips family work. We don't know what that is. Take your ass on school.
The gap year. Yeah, that's a white.
I was like, a gap. What does that mean? Like in your tooth? It was like,
like
the year. I was like, you mean a year of school? Like, what?
But see, people get gap year fucked up because it's only really a gap year if you like go abroad or do some shit. If you stay at home, you just decided not to go to school. You just at home.
I wish I
like it's not a gap year if your ass is at home working locally. It's only a gap year if you're like in Europe or something.
Daddy would have cut kneecaps off. Both of them. If I said I wanted a gap year, I would have woke up to the sound of a chainsaw and be strapped to the bed. Talking about a gap year. What?
Yeah, I love it in concept, but I didn't know that was a thing either.
No, what else? You better do like everybody else did.
Okay, we're good off course. Anyway, I failed myself because the point was supposed to be for me to take some time and like read all the books I haven't read yet and get some rest and do some other stuff. And I was not supposed to be working. Or I was only going to do the things I had agreed to do before the end of last year. It half worked. I ended up still kind of working, but I promised myself that I was going to give myself at least 1 week where I didn't have to be on any phone calls. I didn't have any deadlines. I didn't have to be on air for anything. That didn't happen. So there's going to come a week at some point. I don't know when. That it's going to be Carron and somebody else because I'm going to take a break. I don't know.
I'm just finding this out, guys.
I don't know when it's gonna be. We'll talk about it. He and I will talk about it. Because I'm gonna take a break so we can go run away to a hotel somewhere.
This is the church summer when the assistant pastor's like, wait.
Yeah, you go ahead and pray. You go ahead and pray on it. Pray on your message.
Let me find my good seat. Hold on.
So last week, we talked about the fact that we had the Salt and Pepper Lifetime movie, and this week
they had fat old Martin Lawrence.
Such a shame. This week there was Wendy, and what I think happened was
last week there was Wendy. This week
second part of Wendy.
There's Whitney.
This week passed. There was Wendy.
Yeah.
And with Wendy, what I think happened was that when Wendy did the Aaliyah joint years ago,
which was trash can juice.
So awful. Like I do have to give Lifetime credit for doing much better with these since that one. She did, I think, a three picture deal with them, like 3 pieces of content. And I think what happened was when she couldn't fulfill it, she was like, well, I'm just gonna do mine. Because honestly,
so she did Aaliyah, hers in her own documentary.
That's what I think. That's honestly what I think. Or it might have been 2, but I think it was a contract fulfillment thing because I didn't need a Wendy doc right now. Like, I didn't need a Wendy doc ever, personally. I didn't need a Wendy personally.
Saturday night.
I didn't need a Wendy movie ever, but definitely not. Like, definitely not now. Like, why now? What's now? It doesn't make sense. So that was my thought.
There was no news page.
Right. So my thought was like, it's not a banner year for the show or a birthday year or a book coming out with it or anything. So my assumption was that it was a contractual thing. I'll be honest, I did not watch it in full because I had no interest in it. But
you didn't miss nothing.
But the movie, not the doc so much. I heard the doc was better than the movie, but the movie apparently really glossed over a lot about her New York era. And that was my thing. It's like, Wendy ain't gonna be gritty about the hot 97 years. There's no point in doing any of this because that's the foundation for all this shit. Like, Wendy's entire path, even to syndication and all of that, came out of getting fired from Hot 97, run out of New York to go to Philly, then being able to come back and kind of do like a softer rebrand at the beginning of the gossip blog era, you know, and go from there. But like, I think what I wanted to bring it up, not just because I know a lot of people watched it, but what I want people to understand about pre-TV, pre-syndication Wendy in the early 90s in New York, early to mid 90s in New York, people really hated Wendy, like hated Wendy. And I think, and hate listened to Wendy. Like her ratings were off the charts. But this woman never used a source, never quoted a source, never, I don't even think Wendy ever said allegedly until like the early 2000s. Would repeat any rumor, any rumor. Like it don't matter. But let people, like people would fax up stuff, she'd read it on air. People would call up, say wild shit on the air. She would repeat stuff she heard. Like I said, no source, no sourcing, no nothing. And she pissed everybody off. Like she even was talking about Angie Martinez, and Angie Martinez is down the hall. Like Angie tried to fight her in the building at work.
In today's world, we would list, as she always was, we had this conversation earlier, as a media member and not a journalist.
But the crazy shit is that Wendy actually has she went to school for actual broadcast journalism. And that's the other thing, like, and that's where the thing,
she abandoned
that's the thing where Wendy's story is really interesting to me, because so much of what Wendy became is a product of her feeling pushed out at any space, right? Like, so her family's super bougie, you know, mom and sister, AKA's dad's an alpha or whatever. And she was like the awkward one out of the family, in terms of socially and everything. Then in school, she was socially awkward. And then when she got into the industry, it's like she was still too New Jersey suburb to really be like street, right? Because Wendy is not a street chick at all. She's never been a street chick. Even though her husband is a street nigga. But so I think what happened was, when she realized that the gossip shit worked, right? When she realized there was some heat there, she just ran with it. And like, that's her whole brand. And she has like an actual, like she really went to school to be on some like I think Mary Tyler Moore was like one of her idols growing up, you know, like watching the show and really like doing, you know, I mean, there were a lot of young ones who used to watch the show and like where she throws her hat up in the air. Not is people slightly older than me. But like really the idea of like conquering the city as a, you know, woman reporter, broadcaster, blah, blah, blah. Like a black Barbara Walters type ilk. And she just like, it ended up becoming about mess. And some of the things that she said about people, she traded really heavily in outing people, and, you know, making accusations about their sexuality, which is interesting because she has such a large LGBTQ following now, but she was very much about outing people. And it was just nasty. Even when she got to WBLS, she was better about the legal points. Like she would flip through Us Weekly and In Touch and look at their items and then like build on them or read blind items or something like that. But I need people to really understand that like the Wendy that's on TV right now, even though she's back to being a little bit in a messy space, like she's messy, yeah, petty, yeah, sometimes, but that Wendy back there, like it was just really nasty. It was like nasty and salacious and targeting, and with no thought whatsoever for fallout. Like everybody knows the story about her announcing that Mess wife had cancer before they even told their family. Like somebody sent her medical records, right? So it's like, you know, how TMZ be breaking shit. And like, that's cruel. That's actually cruel. You know, and Matt doesn't really talk about his family at all, period. So it's double cruel. So yeah, I was like, if you're not gonna get into that, then you're already telling me that this is not a story that you're really trying to tell in the real way.
Kind of like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance, because
yeah.
I mean, not to that level of degree, but
yeah,
I was not a fan of that documentary.
You know what I did like about that documentary is that I had never seen that much of Mike's personality. And that was interesting to me. So, but obviously, anytime that the subject is part of the production,
Yeah,
you know,
that's always the tricky thing about documentaries.
because you want them to be, you want their participation because it grants you a certain level of access, but it also colors the story that you're going to tell.
Which is why one of the better documentaries I have seen, well, the best one I've seen this year so far, even though we're just in the second month, was, and I think it was Trey and them talked about it on their show, the Tiger Woods doc.
Mm-hmm. Which I still have to watch.
HBO, which was outstanding, and Tiger had no part in it. And as someone that has been I've been highly critical of Tiger Woods for years and years. That doc was outstanding because they had people we hadn't heard of or people we hadn't forgot, and them people had receipts,
right?
And they were telling stories that nobody knew. But it was very well done, and while it told a lot of stuff that blew your mind, it also gave a lot of context to his upbringing so that you understand why he is the way he is.
His daddy?
And his mom is everything. But like I don't like it because I think as a grown man, at some point in your life as an adult, you have a choice.
Right.
To either be what you were created or be who you want to be.
Right.
And my beef with him, as always, has been he doesn't still to this day, because I wrote a column last year called Tiger Woods Hates Being Black. Mm-hmm. And I wholeheartedly feel that.
Because he's never really lived in a black space.
No, and the good thing about the doc is like they used race with his first Nike campaign that I had forgot about it to announce himself to the world. In old videotapes of when he was a kid, talking about race and how important it was. You know how his father felt on it. But ever since he became Tiger,
and he hit us with the Coblination bullshit,
and all of that, is like that dude has tried everything he can do to distance himself from Black America. To even this past summer when he released his statement after when all the rioting and unrest was going on. And he had this whole thing about, respecting the cops. Basically, it's not all cops are bad. He had never seen something like this before. And I was like, motherfucker, you from California. Rodney King happened in 91.
Yeah.
I was 7, 8, and that shit changed my life. You older than me. Right. How you gonna tell me as a California native, as a Black man, that you had never seen some? I was like, Rodney King was the first thing we all got to see because nightly news, when we had 3 stations, played it at 6, 7, 10, and 11.
Rodney King and because Rodney King and OJ were the same year, right?
Or real close within each other.
Or like I think Rodney King might have happened between the OJ chase and the OJ trial. I think it was something like that. But at any rate, it was the beginning of the 24-hour news cycle, you know? But yeah,
we had Rodney King, never seen like that. We had OJ. Yeah. We had the Michael Jackson trial.
Man, but that's my thing. My thing is like,
the 90s was wild.
In 2020, the 90s was a straight buck wild. Like so much happened in that decade. It's ridiculous. But
like people forget they tried to bomb the Olympics, and we don't even talk about it no more. They just tried to blow up the whole Olympics. They sure did. Well, a movie came out on it last year, but I don't know if it came out. But still, we don't talk about how they literally tried to blow up the Olympics, and we just be like, "Oh yeah, it happened." It's like, wait, hold on, what?
Right, because so much shit has happened since then. But we also act like nothing happened before 2001 in general. So, like in the history of the United States, nothing happened. Like the United States popped up fully formed out of nowhere on September 12th.
We had a couple of wars.
Yeah. You got like nothing happened.
President was getting head.
Like what was killing me about the whole Trump thing was I was like, did none of y'all niggas watch James Bond movies? Like nobody remembers that Russia was the bad guy. Nobody remembers that. Nobody remembers that. Like Indiana Jones was trying to kill Nazis. Like none of us remember that, right? No.
Captain America fought the Nazis.
Like, as an 80s kid, I was like, the Cold War, we just forgot that happened. We're not gonna talk
Y'all
about
didn't watch
that.
the American series on FX?
Y'all didn't? No? Okay. Like that, and that was really the thing. That we forget everything that happened before, at least before the internet. And
Rocky
that's a
IV,
problem.
Drago, and Drago killed Apollo Creed.
Like,
Apollo Creed, black ass, fought in American flag trunks and had James Brown singing "Living in
America" and got killed by the Russians.
And got killed in the ring.
And y'all was acting like we supposed to be cool with the Russians. Meanwhile, we are so off topic. Meanwhile,
they make good vodka.
I just found out last week that Mikhail Gorbachev is still alive. I thought that nigga had been dead. Had been with the ancestors. He's still alive. He out here making comments on Bush on how Bush fixed the relationship between the U.S. and Russia. I was like, you still here? Where you been?
I just remember being a kid, and when I was on punishment, my parents took my TV rights away, and they would force me to watch the news with them. And I just remember Tom Brokaw talk about Gorbachev every damn night.
Every night. We talked about Gorbachev all the time. He was in comics. My parents read. My dad read Mad Magazine a lot. There was always like Gorbachev was in Mad Magazine. He was in, yeah. And they made his birthmark look like it was the shape of Russia, which was probably rude now that I think about it. But yeah, Gorby, like we had a nickname for him. His name was Gorby. Like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know how we even got here. I don't know where it started from. Oh, documentaries and shit. Right. So, now we have this Wendy and Bobby Chris doc coming up, which I don't think we need. Like, I think that Wendy's life and things, Whitney's life and things around Whitney's life have been mined to death. And the problem is that...
It was like the fourth movie in the last 2 years.
The last 3, yeah.
I've seen them all.
And the problem, though, is that the deepest part of the story that everybody wants to tell is not about young Whitney. It's not even about her talent. It's about her descent, which, granted, was a very large part of her career. It's like almost as soon as Whitney hit like mega superstar height, like by the time she was on The Bodyguard, by the time The Bodyguard happened, she was already on her way down, right? Which is tragic. But there is one doc that I saw that like gave some excavated that a little bit and gave us some insight. Me one? Yeah, that kind of really looked behind the curtain in a real way.
Was that the one with The Bodyguard when The Bodyguard finally talked?
I think that was at least the one where her brother talked, and her brother was basically like, we used to cop for her like before.
Well, there was one where The Bodyguard.
That might have been that.
And I was like, oh, they got him because he know everything.
I think it might have been the same one because I was like, all right, this was worth seeing. It was illuminating. But the thing I have about anything regarding Whitney is that everybody's looking to be able to say, this is why Whitney's life went in the direction it went. And I don't know that you can. Like, I don't know that there's ever going to be a definitive answer because Can I Be Me was also opened the door towards the last act of whether or not Whitney had possibly been molested by somebody on Dion's side of the family.
Yep.
I think Dion's sister, actually.
Yep.
When she was a kid, which nobody knows for sure or not, right?
That's a family that don't do no talking.
They don't talk. They're not gonna talk.
They don't do controversy. They not messing with that image that they built.
So that's my thing. And you add Bobby Chris in the mix, like obviously it's just gonna be. I feel like it's just gonna be an attempt to answer questions that we can't answer, like that people can't answer. And I feel like there needs to be more put on why Whitney was a singular talent and why she took the world by storm. And I also do appreciate a look into the duality of the life that Whitney led because, so many people try to act like Whitney changed when she got with Bobby, but that was always who Whitney was. She was just more comfortable being that publicly.
That's what I was about to say. Once
she got with Bobby.
I was about to say, and the ironicness of us wearing these shirts. The thing with these movies is always, or docs, and even with his series on BET, they are kind of conjoined in the hip in like popular culture.
Oh yeah, you can't ever separate
And
them.
it's all but over the last couple of years, you have finally started to see people finally being like, well, maybe it wasn't all Bobby.
It wasn't Bobby.
And it was like, nah, fam, it never really was.
Because even when Whitney died, like I had to check a couple people when they were trying to still blame Bobby about Whitney's death. And I was like, they had been divorced for years. Bobby had been clean for years. Bobby had a whole nother wife and like a whole nother set of kids already. How was that Bobby's fault? Like, how? And people have always said, like, Bobby didn't even do hard drugs until Whitney. Whitney was already doing hard drugs, right? Bobby just drank a lot. So it's like, how is that on Bobby?
Sold them.
I mean, shout out to Roxbury. But I'm just saying, like, how is that? Like, I just really hate that they had a mutually dysfunctional relationship. Was Bobby jealous and borderline abusive to abusive and all that? Absolutely. But do I also believe that Whitney returned that same energy? Absolutely. Yes. Do I also believe that Whitney would have been miserable no matter who, like she would have been in a dysfunctional, no matter who Whitney had picked, that it was going to be some version of that, whether it happened publicly or behind closed doors.
I personally think their relationship was way better than has ever been depicted.
I believe they understood each other on a level that we can't, like, the connection they had. I know we joke about it being crackhead love, but the reason we joke about it being crackhead love is because crackheads understand each other. Like, there's a mind meld. Whitney and Bobby's Whitney and Bobby's chemistry when it was on.
If you can't dance like a crackhead would be in the middle of the bar, I don't want you. I don't want the clip. They're always at them high as hell at that award show. They was like Black History Month. Why is the shortest one to be that one?
They were.
I love they had a
real. But they had a real connection. Yes, video. They had a real connection.
They had the pool doing
which is why they worked on some level. And I believe that Bobby truly loved Whitney. I believe that Whitney truly loved Bobby. I believe though that two things. I believe they were crazy, and I believe two things were going on. First, when Bobby and Whitney got together, Bobby was a massive star. This is the thing that people keep forgetting. Bobby was a massive fucking star. Bobby had sold 7 million fucking albums. Bobby was a massive superstar. Massive, global.
Hey, wait. Let's give him some factoids.
How many number one singles were on Don't Be Cruel? 6?
Don't Be Cruel. Let's listen as we were in these shirts. Don't Be Cruel has sold more albums
of the New Edition catalog.
All the New Edition catalog and the break-off members groups. Johnny Solo, Rap
BBD.
Solo, BBD Soul, New Edition stuff together. Put all their records together, and they did not sell more than Bobby's second album alone.
Right.
And y'all be making Bobby Brown jokes?
King of motherfucking stage. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Robert Beresford Brown, y'all really got to put some respect on his name. Like, when Whitney said Bobby Brown was the king of R&B, she meant what the fuck she said. Like, but so he's a massive superstar when they meet.
Who was Usher Raymond's idol? Bobby Brown.
So I think for him, what's happening is he comes in the game as this massive star. After his 93 album, he starts kind of falling off. As her star starts ascending.
That was the Bobby album. Right?
With the leather shit, things, with the back out.
And he had the that's one of the most fire album. That album cover is fire.
But her star is ascending post, because that's also around the time of Bodyguard. And I think that on his side, he couldn't really handle the Rachel Marin of it. And the suddenness, like, because as famous as Whitney was, there's singer famous and there's movie star famous. So then she became both.
Hey man, when she threw that scarf up,
iconic.
And Kevin Costner had the knife out and it cut
iconic.
Just that shit was sex. It was sex.
Amazing.
It was sex.
Amazing.
It was sex.
Like amazing. So I think that he couldn't handle it, his ego, and then of course there was the battle of the wills between him and Robin. and also between him and Whitney's family, because Whitney's family is super controlling. And then on Whitney's side, I just think that Whitney never was allowed to fully be Whitney. So when she could be, she just took that shit all the way to the extreme. I just don't think she knew how to be herself in any form of moderation because she wasn't allowed to. So it was either like, I'm going to be all the way out like this, or I'm going to be the polished pop star like this, or I'm going to be the diva like this. And, that.
Which is probably why, like, which is not probably, which is why Brandy and Monica both have such strong feelings.
And Brandy has the feelings about the facade Whitney.
Brandy, like, yo,
of the
I can let me show you how to be a pop princess. This is what they forced me to do. Monica's like
Newark.
All I want to do was be like
Monica's like Newark Whitney came to see my ass because they wanted Monica. Clive. That's the other thing. Like, they both had Clive in common. Clive wanted Monica to do that Whitney move. Monica actually had the formula, the voice, the tone, the look to be the pop princess. She had the Diane Warren song. She had all that shit. But
she's from Atlanta.
But she was just like them streets. Them streets couldn't. She could.
That nigga from Atlanta.
But like, she's from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like, because Whitney's from Newark, so we can't make it that. But like, Monica was gonna be from it. Like, she was gonna legit. Like, Monica was 15 years.
Brandy was from Mississippi trying to make it out the
16 years old and had her like grown ass drug dealer boyfriend commit suicide in front of her. How do you sell that to a teen audience? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
You singing power ballads at 13.
I'm just saying. What? So I think that they each had a kinship. I would almost hazard that Monica saw a side of Whitney that Brandy did not, and Brandy's a little jealous of that. But it doesn't mean that Brandy didn't have her own relationship with Whitney.
Correct, because they did a whole
movie together. But I think it was a very like a baby girl thing, whereas Whitney and Monica might have drunk some brown together, and some curse words might have flew and might have been some real shit. Like, Monica might have seen Whitney with her wig off. I don't think Brandy saw Whitney with her wig off. Just saying.
No, time to send her home. No, but and before we get out of here, there's a topic that I want to touch on. Did you finish Judas?
But let's talk about, did you finish Malcolm and Marie?
Yeah, I was going to cover all of this. I shared it with Naima. She didn't finish yet. I've seen Judas and the Black Messiah twice. I saw the little things a couple times. I saw Malcolm and Marie. We both got to see it early. With One Night in Miami was a couple weeks ago. Y'all, we are in the middle of, I don't want to say a Black Renaissance in film, and even going back to
there's so much stuff on deck for this year that's going to be.
And Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Y'all, in the last couple months, but Judas and the Black Messiah instantly is one of the greatest 3-5 films I've ever seen.
You said that last week. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw Malcolm and Marie.
What did you think?
I can wait.
Because I said that it's not for everybody, that I enjoyed it, but I already know because niggas gonna be niggas. It's not for everybody because it's straight dialogue and acting.
Fellas, listen to me, fellas. This is my watching experience. Watch that movie with the woman you're dealing with, and y'all will pause it a lot because y'all gonna have some real honest conversations. Because you're gonna be like, "Oh shit." That's how I look.
So just so y'all know, the Malcolm and Marie and I want to explain it this way because it's important. Malcolm and Marie is not a movie that got made because it was like, this is a story that needs to get told. It was a movie that got made because it was like, we want to create a piece of content in the pandemic. What can we create? And that's important to note because it informs the fact that it's just J.D. Washington and Zendaya, just the two of them, in a house, in and around the house. And it happens, it's a conversation that happens over real time, more or less. Like, there's a little bit of fast forwarding, but not by much, but more or less over real time while you're watching. So there are pauses and silences, and there's not like establishing shots and, you know, changing location and other people or even like really wardrobe like it's none of that. Like, so it feels kind of like a play a little bit. And I'm saying that on purpose because not everybody, because even one of my friends is like, I'm tired of these people saying these are movies, but they're plays. I was like, they're still movies because they're movies.
It's a movie, but you know what it is? It's Malcolm and Marie is back in the day, and two of your friends that's in the couple, y'all was on
and they
three-way
arguing and you just
on the
listening?
phone, and they arguing, and somebody forgot to hang up, and you listening in for 2 hours.
It's very that.
And you know it's wrong. You shouldn't be having this access, but you cannot turn away.
But so many beats in their argument are so real, and it really does follow like the course of one of those all night long arguments that exhaust you. Where like y'all are exhausted at the end of it, and the next morning it's still like from the y'all get to a couple of points where it seems like y'all good, then one of y'all be like, actually, nigga, we not good just because we was just laughing. We still not good. Bringing up old shit, segues that ain't segues. Like it's that roller coaster. So what I find interesting is that there's a point in the movie where the movie actually is challenging the viewer on the idea that you have to analyze everything you watch in cinema. And I was like, I can't wait to see everybody try to write a think piece about this movie that told you not to write think pieces.
You can't, because there's a scene, but what I appreciate the most is that it reminded me, funny enough, as when we got done watching it, I was like, in some ways, this reminds me of Philadelphia.
Because that was Denzel's breakout, and this is John Davis' breakout? Oh.
No, I was like, what I love about Philadelphia the most, when I'm telling people like who are the best, like some of the actors ever, I'm gonna list Denzel and Tom Hanks. And I'm like, if you don't believe it, watch Philadelphia, because it is Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington having an act off. Scene for scene. They just
and that was when Tom was in like his Oscar streak, when he won, like he was winning the Oscar like every year.
I think this was like the first one. And you're just like, yo. And they were young, and you were like, yo, these two dudes are going to run Hollywood forever. Coming off her win and first season of Euphoria, and him coming off Black Klansman and his other stuff. This is J.D. Washington at his best, and Zendaya at her best outside of this scene, outside of Fez's house on episode 4 of Euphoria. And Zendaya and J.D. are going at each other's throat, and you're just
it really was a like act.
Because like one scene, you're like, yo, JD is the next star. And then Zendaya do something, you'll be like,
and it's a lot on them too, because they don't even share the frame a lot. It'll just be like the frame on one of them. So it's really them. Like it's monologues.
There's nothing to play off. It's Cameron.
But JD to me in this, not that I didn't already know JD was dope. This was young. I have never seen so much of his daddy in him as I saw in this film. I was like, this is Denzel. This is JD playing Bleak Gilliam as a film director. Like, it was very Mo Better Denzel for me.
You know who I thought it was? Did you watch Ballers? Yeah. I was like, this is a older, mature Ricky Jarrett who he played that still has Ricky Jarrett tendencies.
But I just was listening, like a couple of times when I looked away from the screen, I was like, that even sounds like Denzel. Like the cadence, the choices. But this is JD's, like, I know JD's big moment was supposed to be the Christopher Nolan joint, which didn't get its theatrical release.
Which I loved.
But you know, if it had gotten a theatrical release, it just would have hit different.
Yeah.
So, but this is important. Like this will put him in like a whole different category back then.
And my favorite scene of his in this movie is when he broke down
in the bath. Oh my God, the bathtub scene was like, perfect. Yo. He said like 3 different things in there, because at one point he said, "Get the entire fuck out of here," and I just fell out laughing. Like, so much of it was so real. It was. I mean.
Yeah, so I have I was emailed the screener information and the script, the screenplay. And I just flipped through a couple pages, and I was like, yeah, they went off script with a couple stuff. Because even watching it, I was just like, yo, how did a white dude write this? I saw it, and I was like, I remember this scene.
Right.
They didn't say it.
This definitely was something that, because again, like I said, this isn't so much a story; it's a conversation, and you can put a story in the conversation, but we're not. I don't think we're left to try to create whole lives for these two. I think it really is supposed to be about this moment, and we really don't know how to watch things like that. But whatever. But
the MVP of the movie.
The macaroni and cheese?
Is Zendaya's dress.
Zendaya's dress. The only thing, and they addressed this, the only false note I really found in there was like, no way would she still be in this dress. But they addressed it like the dress was so amazing, they could not have her take off the dress. Yeah. Because I was like, she would have been out this dress. That was the only thing that was like a false note to me. When does that even drop? I don't even know when it drops.
This Friday?
We got Coming to America 2 coming to Prime in March. There's some there's a lot of Black content dropping this year, and that has been dropping. Like if you say you can't find the story that you want as a Black person, you're not looking at this point. Like I feel like I can honestly say that. Like you're not looking, because it's there. But one of the things about now getting so much of our content on streaming is that you can't just rely on waiting till the timeline is talking about it. Like you got to go look for it, or look for reviews, or look for streaming lists, or do something like that.
Which is why any of you streaming services, BT Plus, Netflix, Hulu,
y'all gotta get better about your
Max,
algorithms.
we need New York Undercover.
Yes, we do need New York Undercover. Somebody please call Dick Wolf
in HD,
because it makes no. You know what? TV1 had New York Undercover in syndication for a minute, and I don't know what happened. What happened. I'm waiting for it to come back. We do need New York Undercover.
We need New York Undercover with closed caption and in HD and updated, because I need to run it all the way back. Because Eddie Torres died, and still one of the most emotional moments of my life.
And y'all can stop at that season. We don't need to go past that season either.
Yeah, man. When they brought Tommy and
when they made it a white show, that was when Fox was like, "We done with these niggas. We on to these white people."
Yeah, I don't even think they went to Nipsey's anymore. It just wasn't. It was.
They didn't. All right. There was like 6 things we were supposed to talk about that we didn't. That tends to be the shit we on lately, but it's fine. Because I think that's why y'all are here with us for a conversation.
The 6 makes sense though. There's 6 members in the edition.
Hey, look at you. Well, your mind is so fast. That's at Morehouse education. Look how that works in the real world. I appreciate it.
With honors.
I appreciate it. Okay, we are highly aware that you could be listening to or watching anything right now. We don't take it for granted that you are watching us. I'm going to give a bye week for fuck Mark Lamont Hill this week, only because one of the video clips I posted for Black People Laughing was Mark clowning Paris, what's his name, about some MAGA shit on CNN, and Don Lemon and Angela Rye falling the fuck out. And I appreciate it because it was good and the timing was good. So Mark, you get to pass this week. I don't know what the fuck Sean King is up to, but whatever. But I do want to say, all y'all who've been asking what your stimulus, now is the time to ask, how long is it going to? Not where is my stimulus, but how long is the process going to take? But ask the appropriate people. Who are the people in the Senate? Not Joe and Kamala. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because they're doing their part. They said the Republicans got till now, and we're going to move. And that's what they did. You got any parting words, Carron?
Just Ronnie, Bobby,
Ralph and Johnny
Ricky,
too.
Mike, Ralph and Johnny.
Ain't nothing but a thing that we're going through. Everybody always talking about the any crew.
Yeah,
we got to get this back together. And sing your word to the mother. That is my favorite New Edition video of all time. It's so fire. Go watch the Words to the Mother remix video when you can. Also shout out to WBBD Boot City, which was the BBD remix album, which that version of Words to the Mother was on. But that video is so, oh my God.
What's the BBD video where they got the helicopters and Bobby pops up out of nowhere at the end? I forgot.
Was it Gangsta?
You know it's what I'm talking about. It might be. They got
I
helicopters,
think it's
and Bobby
gangster. I
pops
think
up
it's
at the end of
gangster.
the
Which
nowhere.
weirdly was kind of like a hit, but they actually didn't put it on their second album, which I never understood. Which may be why the second album didn't do anything. Okay.
Hootie Mac.
All right, lady, y'all. We'll see you next week.